Welcome to the Safe Money Retirement Show with certified financial fiduciary Tim Wood.
This is all about helping people. That is why I am so passionate about this, because it's literally getting up every day and helping people plan for the rest of their lives. Make a plan, because I promise you're going to sleep better.
Tim is a retirement and income planning expert, best-selling author, and the founder of SafeMoneyRetirement.com. Tim focuses on wealth management, retirement income, tax and long-term care planning, and so much more.
Let's sit down. Let's make sure we have got a holistic plan. We're not just looking at one thing.
And now, the Safe Money Retirement Show with Tim Wood.
And we welcome you into this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show. As always, we're here with Tim Wood. He's the founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary with Safe Money Retirement. My name's Kevin McAlpin, and Tim and I certainly thank you so much for joining us on the program, and we hope you are having a fantastic day. Lots to get to on the program here coming up in just a little while. What exactly is stagflation, and how can that impact those of you approaching retirement? Plus, is it really possible to save too much money for your future? And later on, are you one of the many folks out there who get one critical RMD rule wrong? We'll tell you how you can figure that out, plus a whole lot more. And first things first, well, we do say hello to the man of the hour and the star of the show, Mr. Tim Wood. And Tim, it's always great to be with you, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. Allergies are going a little haywire, but I'm doing well. Can't complain. You doing all right?
I'm doing okay. We are right in the middle of stomach bug season. I've got a little daughter, a 5-year-old, sent home from school the other day, and I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that the wife and I can steer clear of that, because, man, there's a lot of people listening that can relate. When two parents get sick at the same time, that's a nightmare, man.
Awful. Yep, been there. Awful. Yep. I totally get it. And it's even worse when they're really, really young. I mean, at 5, it's bad, but when they're really young and you both get sick, I mean, someone's got to take care of the baby. You have to.
Someone's got to stay up late, and those are some long, long overnight hours. So hopefully wherever you're tuned in, your allergies aren't acting up. You're avoiding the stomach bug that's going around. And can you believe it, Tim? We're gearing up for the holidays. Like,
I know.
The Christmas commercials are on in full force.
I know. It's crazy. And I know it's been a couple of weeks, but I mean, I look back to that World Series we had, and I mean, wasn't that one of the most awesome ever? Some of y'all listening may not be huge baseball fans, but if you are, no matter who you were rooting for, I mean, that's the best series I can remember since maybe the one the Braves won forever ago that went down to the 7th game. I mean, I'm sure you remember that too, but yeah, it was awesome. It's been an awesome fall for sports, just in general.
No doubt about it. And for a kid who grew up in suburban Philadelphia, Tim, I was 10 years old when Joe Carter hit the walk-off homer to beat the Phillies. It was the first team as a child that I ever had that was any good. So I don't want to say I was rooting against Joe Carter and the Blue Jays, but I wasn't upset to see Freddie Freeman get another World Series ring.
Freddie's your friend, so I totally get it, man. I totally get it.
Yeah, and a lot of folks here in Braves country, I'm sure, we're also happy to see Freddie get himself another ring as well. Probably still hoping it was here in a Braves uniform, but hey, that's a different topic and a totally different conversation for another day, isn't it?
It is, totally.
No doubt. Well, hopefully wherever you're tuned in from, you are having a great day. And of course, Tim and I, lots to get to on the program here today. And let's dive right into it, man, because I heard a new term here recently, and this one was completely out of left field for me. The term is called stagflation. And basically what that means is the economy, you see high inflation, you see slower growth, and you see high unemployment going on all at the same time. Now, it's rare, but the last time we saw it was back in the 1970s. And Tim, economist Frances Donald recently told CNBC she's worried we could see it return.
We have job gains that have moderated. We have inflation that has moved up. And that's okay for right now because the unemployment rate hasn't broken out. The bottom hasn't fallen out. One of these sides of this stagflation environment is going to break, and the Fed is not going to have the same luxury middle of 2026 as it does now to play both sides of that. This equilibrium that we're in, it's not going to last forever. Our view is that inflation is going to turn out to be the real problem, and heading into 2026, this Fed are going to have to slow down here when they see inflation rising further into Q1.
All right, so Tim, let me ask you, for our listeners nearing retirement, how can you help them make sure that income will keep pace with inflation, even if we do see the market have a bit of a pullback?
That's one of the, as you know, and y'all hear me talk about every single week, that's one of the main things that I work with my clients on is making sure they've got enough guaranteed lifetime income. And we're not doing that from just withdrawing from some sort of an investment account, that we have to hope there's enough growth to overcome any withdrawals that we do to make sure you've still got enough to make it to the end of your life. Because you don't want to run out of money before you run out of life. Y'all have heard me use that phrase before. So making sure that you've got something in guaranteed income plans. Now, what provides guaranteed income is the next question. Well, Social Security does that as long as it holds out, and we all hope that it holds out for the next 50, 100, 200 years. So let's hope that. Pensions do that as long as the pension plan stays solvent, and most of them are. There have been some stories back in the, going back a little bit of some failing, but for the most part, pensions are pretty good. Well, what else can do that? The only other thing that can do that is a guaranteed lifetime income annuity, which is what I talk about. So having something that's guaranteed to make sure you've got a floor, then it doesn't matter what happens. But then we start talking about the inflation and bringing in the stagflation that she was talking about. The inflation really is the problem. And if you've only got enough income just to cover what you need right now, well, what are you going to do in 10 years if maybe a gallon of gas is $6 a gallon and a gallon of milk is 10? What are you going to do? Because you're still only making this much. You need a plan that you can call an audible and that you can add some more to, more guaranteed income, and possibly with some that you just take out every once in a while when something happens. But making sure that you have got those income sources guaranteed lifetime that you and your spouse cannot outlive no matter how long you live, that's what's really important to make sure that you can overcome this issue.
So for somebody tuned in today, let's say they're in that window 2, 3, 4 years away from retirement, how can you sort of help them find that balance between, looking for that growth, but also, as you mentioned, the guaranteed streams of income, especially when we know that inflation, it can eat away at our listeners' purchasing power here these days?
Sure. Yeah. Well, especially if, God forbid, we get back, like she's suggesting, to the 70s. I mean, we can all, those of us that are old enough can remember, which, Kevin, I know you're not, but, I'll bring you along here. In the 70s, things with Carter got pretty bad, and it was pretty bad throughout the first part of the 80s as Reagan was kind of fixing things. But yeah, I mean, if we got back to there, it could get quite bad again. And having plans, again, that allow you to be able to add more income, whether that income is through another guaranteed income plan or whether that income is just through a straight growth plan that you can take withdrawals from. So again, it's going to be, I hate to always say it's going to be an individual thing, but it really is going to be an individual thing sitting down with someone. And that's why I just preach all the time, making a plan, making sure we've got a plan for however it's going to work for you. Okay, you're going to retire here. Let's make sure you've got enough income. Great. Well, we want to have this in a growth, so you've got just a bunch of growth over here that you can pull from whenever you want it. And then we might also want to have some more smaller income plans that can keep growing that you can click on in the future, kind of like having extra little pensions that just keep on rolling up until you need them. But making sure that you've got a plan, because, man, if we get back to the double-digit inflation like in the 70s, bro, it's going to be brutal. And then bringing in a president that would fix that if we do get to that point, and then bringing in a president, the only way to fix it's going to be like what Reagan did, and it's going to hurt. I mean, it's going to hurt a lot of people for a while until we can get through it. So making sure you've got a plan for no matter what happens. And what happens if Social Security does cut by 20% in now 9 years? What are you going to do? Making sure you've got a plan for that. Again, a plan.
It's all about making a plan. That's why we're here on the show each and every week. And if you'd like to learn more, you'd like to sit down with Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement, you'd like to start putting that plan in place for your financial future, keep this number handy, folks, 800-913-SAFE. Again, folks, that number is 800-913-7233. Or online anytime at safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com. So, Tim, I want to take you back 50 years ago, back to the 70s. And I know a lot of retirees during that time, well, they saw their savings lose value very, very quickly. So, in the last 5+ decades, what strategies maybe have you seen evolve so listeners and retirees today can avoid having a similar situation if we do see some kind of repeat from what we had 50 years ago?
Again, making sure that you're in plans that you don't have to worry about that falling off that cliff. I mean, that's what you're really talking about, isn't it, Kevin? Is being falling off that cliff like people have before. And it wasn't just in the 70s. I mean, it happened in the late 90s. It happened again in 08, 09. I mean, it's happened over and over and over. And honestly, we're at this point just kind of set up for whenever the next one is going to happen. We know it's coming. We don't know when. I wish I did. If I did, boy, I'd be a lot wealthier than I am right now, right?
Right.
But we know it's coming, but just making sure that you are set up, and there are multiple things. There are some what they're called fixed indexed annuities, FIAs. Someone can, if you want to, you can do a bunch of research on them right on our website, safemoneyretirement.com. There's a ton of information on them on there, but there are plans out there that you can choose every year. Do you want your money to grow by a fixed rate, or do you want it to grow based on what happens in the market, or a mix of each, and you can change it every single year? I mean, there are some really great growth plans, and the great thing about it is even if you went all in on one of the market indexes and that index goes down, your worst case scenario is zero. There's never any losses. There's also never any fees in these base plans. If you ever got a fee, you would know what you were paying for the fee for, and you would be choosing to do that. So there's a lot of great options. Again, it's a matter of just sitting down with someone and coming up with a plan. You know, making sure that we've got a solid plan that's going to be able to stand the test of time no matter what happens.
You can start that process today by visiting safemoneyretirement.com. Again, it's safemoneyretirement.com.
It's now time for our Safe Money Story of the Week. Visit safemoneystories.com to view more.
For this week's Safe Money Story of the Week, I'm going to tell a story that is probably going to surprise some of you. And some of you that have read my book have actually already read this story, but it's something that I like to talk about every once in a while. You know, people typically in my business don't want to talk about someone coming into our office and us not being able to help them. We just want to talk about, oh, well, I did this and this happened and everything's great. Sometimes someone comes in, and because I am a certified financial fiduciary, I am bound to do everything in my client's best interest. Well, I'm going to tell you a true story of a client that came in. This was several years ago now, and he had a pension. Well, a lot of times when someone has a pension, what I ask them to do is I say, okay, once you finally get your final pension paperwork, they're going to give you, okay, well, if you did single life right here, okay, here's how much it is. Joint life with 100% survivorship, joint life with 70, 50. There's going to be a whole bunch of options. Well, one of the options is going to be lump sum. In most cases, there are some pensions that don't have it, but most pensions will allow you to do a lump sum. Now, why would you want to do that? Because I would say in about 95% of the time, 95% of the time or so, I can take that lump sum and put it with another company other than the pension plan that's you're with, put it with another company, and it would actually pay you out more, and you would have some additional benefits, like maybe a long-term care benefit, and you'd have a death benefit. So there are some benefits. I had this gentleman come in, let's just call him Larry. And Larry came in, had a really nice pension. And, you know, as always, I say, okay, we'll find out how much it's going to be for the lump sum and we'll shop it. Well, he did, and he got back to me. We actually had found one that would pay more than his current plan was offering. So we set it up, and I'm not going to say, but everybody would know the name of the company, had it set up, was ready to go. And when he actually contacted the pension plan, they said, oh no, Larry, we really don't want to lose you. That offer we sent you before, we can do better than that. And they did, and they did better than what I could do. So he then contacted me and said, Tim, what the heck should I do? Because they just offered this, which, I mean, and it was significantly better. I mean, probably only 5-6%, but when you're looking at that per year, every year for the rest of your life, that adds up. Mm-hmm. So that's exactly what I told him. I said, Larry, man, I certainly want to do business with you, and I hope we can do some things maybe on the growth side in the future. But for this, brother, I would totally cancel what we did. I will wipe it off so it didn't even exist, and go back to them. And I said, now make sure they're really going to do it. Make sure they put it in writing that they're going to give you this better deal. You want to see it in writing, which he got it in writing. But yeah, I mean, that was a true story that happened. So point being, again, we need to look at everybody individually, but we're going to find what's really best for you. And if it's something that we can do, we're certainly going to help you just like we did with him. Now, how do you think he felt afterwards? Of course he was happy. Of course he was relieved. And we actually have done a couple of growth plans since then, but his income plan was taken care of there because we found him a better deal. And then when he went back, they were able to match it and actually beat it.
It's a great story, and if you'd like to read more, visit safemoneystories.com. That's safemoneystories.com, or better yet, Tim, what do you say we give away a couple of copies of that book? It's also called Safe Money Retirement. You've got one in your hand. I'm looking at it right now. Chock full of stories just like this, isn't it?
It is 100%. Actually, the last chapter is 20 stories just like this, and the one that I just talked about is in there. So, yeah, it's a bunch of stories, and there's absolutely going to be one that you can find your situation relates to, and here's a good solution, and here's what happened.
If you'd like to learn more, you'd like to request your complimentary copy of Tim's book, Safe Money Retirement, keep this number handy, folks. It's 800-913-SAFE. It's 800-913-7233, or online anytime at safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com. And folks, if you're looking for growth without the fear of those market downturns, Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement, they are here to help. He can help you safeguard your investments while also participating in market growth opportunities. And again, if you'd like to learn more, the website is safemoneyretirement.com, safemoneyretirement.com. And of course, we're giving away the copy of that book. First 5 callers are going to get a complimentary copy of Tim's book, Safe Money Retirement. So don't delay. Be one of our first 5 callers right now, and you're taking home a copy of that book, Safe Money Retirement. All right, we'll squeeze in a couple of minutes for a break, give you an opportunity to make that call, and we'll continue with much more of the Safe Money Retirement Show with Tim Wood right after this.
Hey, it's Glenn Beck. Do you still have all of your retirement money at risk in the market? Most know that I don't do that. It's way too dangerous, in my opinion, at least. The fact the market could fall off a cliff tomorrow, yet many don't have an expert you can trust. Let me tell you about Tim Wood. Now, he's the owner of Safe Money Retirement. That's a certified financial fiduciary and a best-selling author. I met Tim personally, and I can tell you that he and his team can help you plan your own guaranteed lifetime income streams to cover you and your spouse and grow your money while protecting it from a market crash. Go to safemoneyretirement.com/Beck or call 800-913-SAFE to schedule a no-obligation free 15-minute discovery call with Tim. You know I just don't trust anyone, and so do your own homework with Tim at safemoneyretirement.com/Beck and book your free discovery call with Tim online or call 800-913-SAFE and get started today.
And we welcome you back into this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show. As always, we're here with Tim Wood. He's the founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary with Safe Money Retirement. My name's Kevin McAlpin, and Tim and I thank you so much for being with us. We know we got a lot of loyal listeners out there. You're here each and every week, and we certainly thank you so much for joining us once again here on the program. If you're just joining us, we spent segment 1 talking about stagflation. What in the world is it, and how can it impact you as you get closer to retirement? You want to learn more? You want to get on Tim's calendar? You want to get a complimentary copy of his book entitled Safe Money Retirement, Your Game Plan for Success? Be one of our first 5 callers right now, and you're going to have that conversation with Tim. You're going to get that copy of his book, and you can read more Safe Money stories today. 800-913-SAFE. Again, it's 800-913-7233, or online anytime at safemoneyretirement.com. So, Tim, I was looking at an article here on an advice column on Kiplinger.com, and this one really was a head scratcher for me. Person writes in and they say they retired at 65 years old with $7.9 million, but they feel like they may have oversaved. Now, their adult son, who's now in his 40s, is on a similar trajectory, and this writer wondered if they should tell their son to reconsider. So let me ask you, Tim, someone comes to the office, they sit down with you, they have a similar situation. How do you handle this? And I guess the question becomes, is it really possible to save too much money for retirement?
That's a great problem to have, isn't it? That's one I hope I have, and I bet every listener would love to have that problem. And I'm going to be honest with you, most people that come to me that have multiple 7 figures like this, they still don't think they have enough.
Wow.
I don't know that anyone believes they ever have enough. I mean, I don't know. Bill Gates certainly has enough, but does he really in his mind really think that, or has he still got that growth mindset? You know what I mean? Are any of those people? So can you have too much? I don't know about that, but I do think 100% you certainly can have too much in particular types of plans. Now, if that person had 7.9 million and it was still all at risk in the market, imagine how much money he would lose if the market were to drop by 30% on 7.9 million.
Oof. Yeah.
I mean, just doing that's 2.4, 2.5 million. If it were to drop 30% again, if it were to drop 50%, you're losing about 4 million. So, I'm not really so much concerned about you having too much. Now, that being said, I'm wondering if he almost like maybe didn't do some things when he was younger that maybe he should have. You know what I mean? Maybe he's just been waiting to take that trip to Ireland or to take that whatever, African safari. My brother-in-law just went on an African safari this last year, always wanted to, and bit the bullet and did the 18-hour flight and all that to do it. But It was a lifelong dream, and they did it. It was awesome. I mean, the videos and pictures are mind-blowing. So I'm wondering if this person maybe has sacrificed some things. And for the son, that would be one of the things I would talk about is, yes, I mean, trying to get to that same number that dad got to, I mean, that's a heck of a target, first of all. Right. I mean, that's like being Michael Jordan's son and saying, here's a basketball, go get him. I mean, right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but make sure that you enjoy, success isn't all about the destination. Success is a lot to do with the journey. And that's something that I have to work on myself personally all the time. It's like I'm always trying to get somewhere. Let's fix that. Let's do that. And I have to stop myself. And that's one of the things that my wife, Melissa, is really good at, is stopping me and making me smell the roses, making me slow down and take the vacations, making me, go to the North Carolina football games on the weekends instead of staying home and working all Saturday. Making me do those things. So that would be the thing that I would say is, can you have too much? First world problem, big first world problem, but make sure it's in the right thing. Whether you've got 100,000 or 100 million, you need to make sure it's in the right thing and make sure that it's going to do what you need it to do. What's the purpose of money? Those of you that have read my book, you hear it in the book over and over and over and over. What's the purpose of your money? Saving up a wad of cash is great, and that is super sexy. But with it just sitting there, it's not doing anything. What do you want it to do? Do you want to just live off the interest it can get? Okay. Do you want it to give you a guaranteed income? Okay. Do you want it to protect you for a long-term care benefit? Do you want to pass it down tax-free? Do you want to go ahead and pay the taxes on it and turn it into a Roth? There's so many different questions, making sure it's in the right thing and really making sure that people enjoy it. And the last thing I'll say is that guy, I mean, if he retires with 7.9 million, if he hasn't taken those trips, the go-go years are now. Go, son, go do it. Anything that you've wanted to do, this is the time, because you're going to get to the slow-go years. They're coming. And then you're going to get to the no-go years where my parents are. And and that's it. I mean, and now so go enjoy the spoils of your labor and make sure that you're doing that along the way, because we're not promised tomorrow. So make sure that you're really enjoying your life as we go as well.
I know everybody's situation is completely different. Everybody's, opportunity is completely unique. But how can you help our listeners define, I'm using air quotes here, you see me doing it, enough when it comes to retirement savings? We know that, things are getting more expensive. And as we get older in retirement, certainly when it comes to long-term care and our health needs, that's going to change as well. So we know that that's going to change as we get older, but how do you kind of put those numbers down on paper and show a client, okay, here's where you are. You could have retired yesterday if you wanted to. You have enough. You're in a point now where we can put this plan in place and we can show you that you're going to be fine.
And that's all part of the Fact Finder. That very first meeting y'all have heard me talk about, when I sit down with someone, when I'm doing a Fact Finder appointment, one of the very first thing that we do, literally one of the very first things that I will do is say, what's your current expenses? Now, why do we want to know that? Because we've got to make sure you've at least got a guaranteed income floor that's going to cover your current expenses. And that's with everything. That's giving to the church. That's your annual taxes on your home. That's literally whatever you're spending in a year. We've got to make sure that we have got enough guaranteed income for that. Anything going out of your pocket. Okay, well, I added it all up, Tim, and it's $56,000. Okay, well, congratulations. Your floor is $56,000, but that's $56K net. So how much do we need to get you in gross? So there's some figuring that we do, and we make sure you've got enough guaranteed income. Okay, that's great. That's for now. Now, what are you going to do when inflation keeps going? And like I said, what happens if gas is $6 a gallon and milk's $10 a gallon in a decade? What are you going to do? We need to have plans in place for that. Now, do you want to just grow some now and turn it into income later? Do you want to have some income plans that can roll up? I mean, there's so many different ways that we can go for each individual person, and sometimes it's some of each. But making sure that you've got that solid plan so when you need more, there's more there to pull from.
If you'd like to sit down and have that conversation as you approach retirement, maybe you're trying to figure out how much do I need? Where am I at this point in life? And certainly how are things going to change as I go through retirement? You want to keep this number handy, folks. You want to reach out to Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement, 800-913-SAFE. Again, it's 800-913-7233 or online anytime at safemoneyretirement.com, safemoneyretirement.com. So, Tim, we know when you get to be 73, the government forces you to take money out of that 401k and IRA. Now, it's called an RMD, or required minimum distribution, if you're new to the show. And according to a recent study from JP Chase, over 80% of people don't touch that IRA money until RMD age, and then they only take the money the government tells them to. Some call that a mistake. What does Tim Wood say about a situation like that?
I say it, again, depends on the individual situation, but a lot of times it is a mistake. And let me tell you why. Because studies show that if you just take RMDs, well, first of all, RMDs are typically not going to be enough to cover your income. So that being said, I mean, that's right off the bat. So that's not even where I'm going, but that's the thing. It's not going to be enough to cover your income most likely. And then secondly, kind of on that before I move on, why would you want to be forced to take a certain amount out when you could take more out and be guaranteed that you can take more out every single year for the rest of your life and you can never run out, versus taking a lot less out and it not being enough to cover your income? So that's something to be said. But yeah, I saw that same, and actually I believe the exact number was 84%. 84% of retirees, JP Chase said, we're only taking RMDs. Now, there are some situations where I do suggest that. But again, that's if someone's already got plenty of income. I'm thinking of a particular client down in Lynchburg, Tennessee, where they make Jack Daniels. He literally lives right up the road from the Jack Daniels distillery. He basically already has plenty of income. They've actually almost got too much income. I mean, another great problem to have, first world problem, but they've almost got too much income. So what he's doing is just letting this grow and grow and grow. Well, we talked about doing a Roth conversion, but he's not really, it didn't interest him really. It wasn't a hot button for him. So we are just letting it grow and grow and grow. And every year he contacts the company and they do the RMD and they send him a check once a year for the RMD, and that's it. So in that situation, it's okay. If you're just trying to still accumulate wealth, then it makes sense. But if that's money that you need to pay your bills, to send you on vacation, to give to the church, to whatever that you need for income, then RMDs typically, 95+% of the time, are not the best way to do it. There are much wiser ways. And the other thing to keep in mind that this story from JP Chase didn't talk about is that if you are just doing RMDs on a chunk of money and then you pass away, whoever gets that inheritance, unless it's your wife or someone that's less than 10 years old in age difference than you, 10 years younger, they're going to have to pay all the taxes on that within the next 10 years. They don't have a choice. So if you're leaving someone $1 million, well, great for them, but they have to take out at least $100,000 every single year, and then that's probably going to kick them up to a higher tax bracket than they were, unless they were already in a really high tax bracket, which most people getting these wouldn't be. So there's a whole lot of different angles that you've got to look at to come up with what's the smartest answer for this. But so to answer the final question, yeah, RMDs, sometimes it makes sense, but most of the time there are wiser ways to deal with your money than just taking RMDs.
And obviously you can have other opportunities to reinvest that money. Let's say you don't need necessarily that RMD money. There's other opportunities to reinvest, repurpose those funds. That's probably something a lot of folks don't even consider until they sit down with someone like you, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that is something. And there's also a case to be made in certain situations for someone turning on their Social Security even earlier than I would have suggested otherwise. But when we're looking at their overall plan, we look at that money and we could put that in what's called a flexible premium plan. That's something that allows you to continue to add more money to as often as you want. Again, in some cases, that makes sense. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely times where, either way makes sense. It's just a matter of sitting down and figuring out individually, which is why we go through the whole process of the fact finder, and we just don't jump on a first call and say, hey, here's what you need to do because this is the best rate today. Yeah. Okay, that's great, but that's not really serving the client. That's more so serving, honest to God, the insurance agent.
If you'd like to learn more, you'd like to avoid making an RMD mistake that a lot of folks out there have made in the past, you want to pick up the phone, you want to get on Tim Wood's calendar. Well, don't delay. We are here. It's November. The holiday season is upon us. Things are going to certainly start to get awfully busy. And if you would like to find time between now and the end of the calendar year, maybe do a year-end review. Set yourself up for 2026 and beyond. Keep this number handy, folks. 800-913-SAFE. Again, it's 800-913-7233. Online anytime at safemoneyretirement.com. And folks, don't forget, first 5 callers to schedule that consultation with Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement. He's also throwing in a complimentary copy of his book. It's called Safe Money Retirement, Your Game Plan for Success. So don't delay. Be one of our first 5 callers right now, or you can always reach out to Tim at the website, safemoneyretirement.com. So, Tim, time flies when you're having fun, and boy, we are quickly running out of it once again on the show. But before we do, sir, the floor is all yours for the final word.
Well, we talked about a lot of really great things today, Kevin. I think it's been a great show. We first talked about the stagflation with Francis Donald's interview. That's a big thing. Make sure that you're prepared for that. Then we talked about, can you have too much? Again, serious first world problem, but make sure that, no matter how much you've got, it's allocated properly and your tax consequences are taken care of properly. And then third, we talked about RMDs. Very important that that's planned out and that it's done properly, and depending on how we do it. And if we start early enough, I've got clients that never even have to worry about RMDs because we've got everything converted before then. But what I want people to really think about real quick at the end of this show is what you just said. We're getting close to the end of the year. I mean, Thanksgiving's going to be here in like 27 minutes, and then Christmas is going to be here in an hour and a half after that, and then it's New Year's, and then here we are into 26. Now is a really good time to sit down and come up with a plan and figure out, what do we want to do? Are there any course corrections? Are there any audibles we need to call? Is there anything that we need to do to make sure your 26 is better than 25 and then 27 is better than 26? Now's a great time to sit down. We've got time on our calendar. Just give us a call and let's help you get your own safe money retirement.
The preceding information does not represent tax, legal, or investment advice. Obviously, by contacting us now, you are only taking the first step towards protecting your retirement. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified, licensed insurance professional. It is important that you read all insurance contract disclosures carefully before making a purchase decision. Interest and other guarantees in annuity contracts are subject to the claims-paying ability of the insurance carrier that issued the contract. The tax consequences of annuity income should be considered with the help of a licensed tax professional. Rates and returns mentioned on this program may vary based on state availability and are subject to change without notice.